Jeffrey Dahmer soaked in blood.
The Unabomber blowing up.
Waco, Texas, and Heaven's Gates.
Aliens modified, meant for apes.
JFK shot in the head by the CIA.
Bigfoot and the Mothman.
Son of Sam talking to dogs again.
Witches,
Ghosts and goblins.
mysterious noise and hauntings.
Dark arts in the skull and bones.
Most celebrities are probably cloned.
So if you're feeling all alone,
Crack a beer and get stoned.
I welcome you to the podcast Strange Brew.
We're here to entertain you.
We're here to entertain you.
It's about to get strange.
Welcome everybody back to the show. Welcome. I'm one
What
of
do
your
you-
hosts, Tomcat. Oh yeah, fuck.
You dummy. What do you call an anorexic girl with a yeast infection?
What?
A quarter pounder with cheese.
That is disgusting. Here, I got one for you. If I can get there. Welcome everybody back to the show. I'm one of your hosts, Tomcat, aka Tom Thompson, the Raptilian. You can find my music on all music platforms. There's some songs with me and Billy himself called Tomcat and Kirby, so go check that shit out.
My
And,
name's Billy.
His name is Billy.
That's all
We
I
are
got.
a strange show. I feel like I went a little hard on the beaver on the eugenics episode, and I just wanted to say this for the people that maybe got offended or whatever, right? Like, because who knows? Because people want to get offended about everything nowadays. That my anger and my displease of the things that are happening in the world is aimed at the government. It is not the people's fault. No matter where you come from, even the people that are in control, or, you know what I mean? Like, there's people in control, but the people being manipulated by those in control, it's not their fault. So, like, I definitely went, like, a little hard on the whole idea of what was going on and calling out certain factions of people. But at the end of the day, it's because I truly care. I do care about the way the world is going, and I want to try to inform people as much as possible, but I want to actually, like, step away, not cause any division. We don't need any more division.
I want to
of
go
people
re-listen to that
fighting.
now. I didn't think it was that bad.
No, I don't. It's not that bad, but I know that
Oh,
there's
okay.
people out there that might get offended by what I said about the indigenous or something like that, where I just
Oh
said that,
yeah, no,
stuff
probably.
like that, where
Good
I'm like,
chance.
yeah, there's definitely people that got offended, but it comes from a place of, like, I actually have studied and looked into a lot of the things in history and all that stuff. So I do have a firm opinion on the things that have happened and will happen and all that stuff, right? So I wanted to kind of start this episode. This is definitely a fun, more kind of lighthearted episode. We're going to be diving into some deep stuff, but I just wanted to say that, like, I come from a place where I care about the future of my country and the children that are here. We're seeing what's happening in the UK is getting extremely bad. It's almost like mixing two people together doesn't go really well that have very different beliefs. I had someone put it really well, where they're like, it's like there is a gang inside of a club, then there's a gang outside of a club, and they've been warring at each other for years. There's a lot of history of this. And then the bouncer or the people running the club were like, I want to take the money anyway. I want the money. So they open the door, and then shooting starts going off and stabbings and all sorts of violence. And then they're like, oh, whoops, realistically, because Christians and Muslims don't really get along. And now we're seeing that, yes, when you try to bring too many people in that don't assimilate, and in a lot of Muslim culture, they don't want that. They want Sharia law, and then they leave their country. So it's all these things. Now there's this boiling happening where people are very angry, and there's a lot of division and fighting going on. And I want to attempt to bring people a show that is lighthearted and questioning everything and having fun with even these really dark, disturbing topics like we're going to get into in the future. But I just wanted to kind of say that I don't want any more division. We need to come together as humans, the one race of humanity, or we're all done for. So,
My dad would like to know if he can watch this live.
It's on Twitch right now, so yes. If he would like, before you.
It is on Twitch.
Strange Brew
There you go.
TTV, everybody.
Let him figure it out.
So this is a pretty interesting case. There's a couple of subjects that we're going to be diving into pretty soon that will be fairly interesting. No more division. I'm good at math. I'm not good at math. That's funny. I dig that. But I really just think that people need to come together, and my anger actually comes from a place of love that I am worried and concerned about the state of the world and the future, and I think more people should be if they're not by now. But this is something different. I'm trying to mix up the mix up the drink.
seriousness.
Yeah, you know what I mean? All the time,
Yeah.
right? Me and Aaron just did a cryptid episode about a beast, the beast of Blattenborough. So it was fun. I'm trying to mix things in and not be so like conspiracy. Like we're gonna throw in some serial killers. We're gonna sprinkle in some aliens. We got a good recipe going on. We're gonna stir it all up, and then it becomes soup.
Strange brew soup.
Yes.
Sounds fucking disgusting.
What do you think it's made of?
A lot of STDs.
Wouldn't say that. Maybe on your end, but
I'm just.
I don't know about that.
It's funny.
Okay. Give me a second. I have to bring up my info.
What are we doing though?
We're doing the Falcon Lake UFO incident. There we go. This one's pretty interesting. It actually is. It is, according to this, among the thousands of UFO-related cases that have been reported over the years, the Falcon Lake UFO encounter occupies a huge, unique place in paranormal history, and it happened in Canada, just outside of good old Winnipeg.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
Where was it? Steinbach?
No, Falcon Lake. You can, if you want to bring it up on a map, you can, and we can share it.
I do want to do that.
But yeah, me and Billy haven't dived into some UFOs in a while, and I like to kind of mix it up and do a bunch of different topics. So yeah, we are back with the UFOs.
Falcon Lake, Manitoba.
Hear one now.
UFO! UFO!
Oh, dude, stop yelling. You're breaking up. I didn't catch that last part.
Close encounter! Close encounter!
Close encounter? What kind? First? Second?
They're after me!
Third kind already. You better run, man. I think the fourth kind is a butt thing.
Empathy, Sam! Empathy!
So Falcon Lake looks like it's roughly it's actually
share the
east of.
screen?
Can I share my screen?
Yeah, you can.
How do I do that?
Underneath.
Present.
Yes.
I can present. I can share my screen. Cool. I could have
Yes.
done this forever.
Yes. Now you can. Now that you have the opportunity, you can bring up whatever you want.
Cool. You see it?
Yep. Oh
Okay,
yeah.
So here we are. Here's Winnipeg, and then we got about, I don't know, that's probably roughly about maybe a 3-hour, 4-hour drive east.
Yeah.
And then this is where all the Mennonites are.
Ah, that's where you came from.
That's where me family is.
Steinbach.
That was a dry community for so long. They just got their first Boston pizza like a couple of years back, but they never had any liquor
Boston
stores, no
pizza.
bars that could serve anything.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a pretty unique UFO encounter. It is a really well documented one, enough where literally they have a coin. Isn't that cool? It glows in the dark like a
What kind of coin? That's a $20 coin?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know.
Where did we get those?
I would love to have this. It's for
That would
everybody
be
listening.
sweet.
It's a UFO, and it's like Canada $20, 2018, and it's a guy seeing a UFO, and then I guess at nighttime, when it's dark, the UFO shines onto him.
It's like the shape of a guitar pick. It's not even like a coin.
I kind of want to
like a
buy
circle.
one. It's probably really expensive at this point. Canada and inflation.
Here's
inflation.
your $20. You want to buy $20 for 200? We got
Yeah,
you.
literally.
Isn't that like $2 US? Okay, we're not that bad.
No, I
We're
know.
not, it's not that 20 Canadians. What? Maybe like 15, 14, 13 US, right around there.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not good at conversions. Yes, this is a pretty interesting case. So while a large majority of UFO incidents are reportedly as strictly aerial sightings, the Falcon encounter is one of a relatively small amount of cases that document an actual physical injuries that result in UFO experiences. And I'm sure there's many more to come. There's a lot of weird UFO cases. I eventually want to get into this guy that he essentially got, he had a nice sexual encounter with some aliens. It was a fun time. So the incident was reported to have taken place on May 20th, 1967 at Falcon Lake in southeastern Manitoba, Canada. Stefan Michalak. Oh, I hate this. I hate this because I knew his name. It's a Polish name. Stephen Michalak.
Sure, buddy. Yeah, I'm sure no one's gonna
No,
care.
I'm gonna Google Translate it.
You
Hey,
need this.
What would you ever want to get abducted by an alien? Like would you want to see it, or are you too scared?
No, I'd get abducted. Like I'd like to be brought back. Like with like some reassurance, like they take you, they're gonna be like, you're only here for a couple hours. Let's do our thing. We'll bring you back. I'll be like, if I don't like it, can you zap my memory? And they'll be like, yes. I'll be like, all right.
What about the anal probe? Would you do that?
That's what I said. If I don't like it, zap my memory, please.
If you don't like it.
If I do like it, let me remember how nice it was.
Okay,
Just let me have the choice whether my memory gets zapped. That's all I ask of being abducted.
I knew it. Michalak. God, I said that way wrong.
Oh, that
so
was
yeah, Michael
way off.
Michalak, a mechanic living in Winnipeg. Let me just the
Michalak the
incident.
mechanic.
The incident was reported to take place. The incident was reported to have taken place on May 20th, 1967 at Falcon Lake in southeastern Manitoba, Canada. Stephen Michalak, a mechanic living in Winnipeg, Manitoba, has decided to spend his Victoria Day weekend prospecting for silver at White Shell Province Park near Falcon Lake. He was well acquainted with the area, having tried his hand at prospecting several times before that in various parts of White Shell, but he had decided recently, maybe he could find some silver. Maybe there's promise near for quartz and stuff like that.
This
near
guy's
Falcon
mortgage
Lake.
is due tomorrow, and he does not have it. He's like, I need to figure something out.
Yeah, 100%.
My wife said if I'm late again, she's leaving with the children.
I need my mortgage today. Yeah, pretty wild. So he's a prospector, right? He's looking for his silver. He's interested. He's done this before. He knows the area well. So he goes near Falcon Lake, and maybe there's potential of silver deposits, which would be interesting if you actually like struck gold, so to speak.
Well, people do that with gold fishing all the time. Like almost every lake, like if you really want, you can get a couple bucks of gold out of almost anywhere if you shift long enough.
It's wild.
Huh?
You know how Jasper just burnt down?
Yeah.
Conveniently, whoops, not that. That's for another episode. Check this out.
I know. Look.
Jasper's. So there's a lithium mine. There's a diamond mine. It's a fun time.
Yeah, but here's the thing. At the end of the day,
so many
like,
different things.
do they really? They don't really care about that sort of stuff anymore. Gold's like one of the only. Lithium, I guess, is pretty valuable, but the diamond mines, like, if that is like a true and accurate representation of anything, diamonds aren't fucking worth anything anymore.
They're still worth some stuff, trust me.
But that's what I mean. Like, realistically, at this point, they can manufacture fake diamonds, call it real diamonds, and carry on their life. Like,
but there is a way to tell. But the lithium definitely, they got children doing it for free in the cobalt mine. So if like maybe that we can get some guys from India to do the ones in Jasper,
There you go.
Super cheap. So funny. So obviously equipped with a game plan, Stephen traveled to Falcon Lake on May 19th, checked in a motel on the Trans-Canada Highway that evening, eager to begin prospecting the next morning. I just picture a guy, with like suspenders and like kind of, like corduroy pants or something like that. And he's got like a big hat, but it's got like a cut out of it, like in one of those like old school, you know what I mean?
I know, like a sombrero.
Think of Toy Story 2. You know how they have that? I'm prospector. Hat. Yeah, it's kind of like I guess it is a cowboy hat. There's a different name for it, I think. But he's like I'm a prospector.
Hat to the cowboy.
Like, yeah. Back in the day, man, it was a big thing. It was a big thing to like prospect and want to find gold, A
lot of people are still doing it. I see videos like that online all the time.
At roughly 5:30 a.m. on the 20th, Stephen left the motel and headed into the north area of the park and began digging by 9 a.m. He had located a vein of quartz near a small stream and continued digging until roughly around 12 noon, at which time he took a lunch break. The place, was peaceful, it was quiet. Yeah, you got it. Well, you got to eat your fish sandwich. Yeah, you're eating. What's that disgusting fish that comes in a can? And people like
sardines.
Yeah, sardines. He has a sardine sandwich. That's what I figure.
Ew. I've never even heard of someone doing that. Like tuna.
Have you
sure.
ate sardines before?
Yeah, I've had sardines.
We used to
I've
do
had
it as
sardines on
dares back
pizza.
in the day. It was disgusting. Oh, ew, man. You're disgusting.
It's not that bad. They're just super salty. Like I wouldn't eat. Yeah,
well,
like straight. Yeah, it's a lot of salt. But like you put them on like
It's
pizza
true.
or something with like a savory taste. I don't mind them. They're all right. Wouldn't go out of my way to
The-
buy
so-
them. But...
The place, the surroundings is quiet and peaceful, and was soon interrupted by the sound of several cackling geese. Can you give me a sound effect, Billy?
I was right in the middle of a swallow. One thing. Cackling geese.
Yes.
Oh god, it's hard to like put your mind in that mind frame and just be like,
It's not bad, man. It's not bad. So, here are these cackling
Fucking
geese.
geese.
There is evidently, responding to some sort of disturbance nearby. Stephen looked up in the sky and observed two cigar-shaped objects descending slowly into the woods. Both objects seemed to be glowing with a reddish hue.
cigar-shaped objects. So
Yes,
it's like
they're-
the size of a cigar, or just giant cylinders?
Cigar shaped. There's a lot of UFOs that are actually cigar shaped, like a ton. It's very strange. But then he draws this later.
That is not
Yeah.
a cigar.
I know. So I'm like, it looks like your for all the other listeners, just like your basic two plates on top of each other UFO. Like your basic Roswell crash UFO kind of
I
thing.
never
right?
even thought about that. Just two deep plates on top of each other as a UFO.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go make some.
And then you like put it on a string and you dance in front of a camera, and then you got a movie. You got a
Times have you
UFO
done it?
event.
And that's how Star Wars started.
Pretty much.
True fact.
Yep. So, and they were like glowing reddish hue, and they continued to get closer, and they took on more like a disc-like shape instead of an oval or elongated. So originally he saw like a cigar, and then as it came down, it, I guess, became more like circular, which is really weird. According to him. I don't know.
And
if
he's
that's
looking
true.
in the window. He's like,
Oh,
is there
it's
silver
called
in
the
here?
Prospector's Hat in Red Dead Redemption 2. It's 1967. Yeah, so it's a different
prospector's
time.
hat. Huh.
Yeah. So
Very
there
similar
is
to a cowboy, yeah?
Yeah. Oh yeah. But then they can put their little gold in the rim, and then it weighs their head down, and they got stupid. So Stephen continued to
the lower
observe.
your hat is, the richer you are.
It's true. Stephen continued to observe. It's like when they used to have the top hats, and the bigger the top hat you had, the more like high status, classy individual you were. As Stephen continued to observe from a distance, one of these two crafts began to hover mid-flight, while the other one landed on a massive flat rock roughly 160 feet away from his vantage point. This would trip me out. Like, I would be kind of freaked out to see like something like that happen and see like a UFO come down, and you're like, what the hell is going
150
on?
feet is quite a far random space. Like, that's quite a distance to go just sporadically.
Yeah, there's actually a fair amount of UFO cases within Canada. So the craft had been hovering in the air, abruptly departed westward, disappearing behind a cover of clouds. And then Stephen observed the craft that seemed to change in color from red to gray before it faded from view. As Stephen redirected his attention to the craft that had landed just a small distance away, he noticed its color also changed from glowing red to appear to be a grayish color, recounted by Stephen as looking somewhat of hot stainless steel. Stephen had been wearing protective goggles to... Oh, he did. Just wait. You'll find out what happened to him. Stephen had been wearing protective goggles to shield his eye from the rock fragments while digging, and they also proved to be an instrument in protecting his eyes from the intense light that emanated from various openings on the craft. Very, very strange indeed. So Stephen estimated that the object to be roughly 50 feet in diameter, with a domed top and several apertures through which a brilliant purple light emanated. The craft had no external markings to indicate that it was a property of any particular commercial or military entity. Because I find
it didn't have sponsorship. It was just a beginner crafter. He didn't
So
have
if
all the Red Bull stickers.
Yeah. Just like a NASCAR. It's like, here's
That's all I was thinking of.
It's got like an APAC logo on it, or like a
Subway.
Raytheon. Brought to you by Raytheon and BlackRock. You know what I mean? So yes, Subway, eat not so fresh, especially nowadays.
Dude, it's weird. Actually, there's something funny. Subway down in Ontario, garbage. Absolutely horrendous. It's like I couldn't eat it.
And it's run by
Down
a
here,
lot of
super fresh. Super fresh, like veggies down here. It's super nice. I love it.
Had Steven
Like,
ever taken acid? It is the 60s, so you never know. You know?
Yeah, good chance.
You never know. So that's good to know that you have better subways. Just wait till they all migrate up there, and then you'll have equally as bad.
Well,
subways.
they already are. Like they're starting anyway. It's not like crazy, but
Jeez. We're talking about geese, everybody. Okay, geese run subways in Canada, if you didn't know, and then beavers run the Burger Kings. You know, so I gotta leave it to the beaver to fuck up your food. He also noticed waves of warm air occupied by sulfur-like smell coming from the craft. And then Hillary Clinton walked out. Just kidding. He was able to sketch the object from his position after roughly 15 minutes. So this is, I think, what he sketched. Pretty trippy that he was able to do this. He had all the stuff. Here, I'll play a little clip of him talking about it. Where are you? Where are you?
The size, was amazing. And here they coming down. With speed, I just can't describe. Amazing speed. I hear shh, and I hear a high-pitched whistle of running equipment. Pumps on high speed. But the thing around it was of gray-pink color. It's stainless steel, and it was pink hot. And I can feel the breeze on my face that thing is hot outside. There was my notebook. There was my pencil. So I sketched it.
Why do Polish people sound Italian to me?
it's so funny. That sounds like a fucking Mexican.
Yeah, just like, okay, I got no.
And that's where all the people from Mexico, for the generations, they all went to Steinbach, Manitoba, for all like the German Mennonites.
Yeah.
That were living in Mexico for like 5-6 generations.
Yeah,
they all went to Steinbach, which is like 40 minutes away from there. Not a lot of Polish, man. They really didn't. There's really not much Polish community in Canada at all.
There actually is a fairly big one now.
Of course, there's some. Like, you're gonna have everything here by now, but like, there's comparably to any other culture, like it's one of the lowest.
Well, because Poland has actually a pretty decent country, and they're pretty strict on immigration, and they kind of like staying there. If you see the difference between Poland and a lot of the other European countries, it's like literally night and day. And I'm not meaning skin color. I'm just kidding.
Like I think I've met 2 Polish people in my life total ever.
My boss is Polish, so like, and
that's what I mean. You got one.
The kid, one of the kids that work there I've met more Polish people in the last year than any other time. This is Billy's drawing of the UFO encounter.
I did my best. I did all right. I didn't do bad, did I?
Oh man, I
made sure he didn't have any pants on him.
Yeah, this came up when I looked up this episode. I was like, who the fuck drew that shit? It looks really bad for everybody listening. It looks like an 8-year-old autistic kid drew it. But actually, you probably would have drawn it a little better because they're like, quick as a whip.
That honestly is better than I can draw. That's more straight lines than I can do.
Billy cannot
He at least used a ruler.
Do you draw stick people like my brother?
I do.
It's bad. It's so funny because I always have been good at drawing and like more artistic things and music and all that stuff. I'm more right brain.
That's why you're so fucking dumb.
Yeah, and it's true. I'm a retard. But in
classy.
Classy, yes. Well, I'm a retard. So far, I just watched Borat. So we were at the off topic. We're at the antique store, and I was like, very nice. I was like, show me your treasures, Gypsy. So funny. So it was like, look at all the shit. And it's cool. I found Nazi memorabilia at the Cambridge antique store.
Yo, that is sick. Which one was that? Because I saw your story that but where's the antique store in Cambridge?
It's like the Super Center antique store. It was fucking cool, bro. I've never seen that.
Didn't answer my question.
There's only one.
Where?
In Cambridge, near downtown. Cambridge
Like,
is a city in Ontario. For everybody that doesn't know, it's a pretty shitty city, but it's like a small little city. But
Like, I'm gonna tell Danny to go there and go get me some shit. Like, that looks
dude,
sweet.
it's so cool. They had a little Hitler statue. Not saying Hitler's cool, but it's cool to see. Like, that's like history. So like,
I would have loved to watch
things
the
that
Nazis.
you're
Yeah.
you're not allowed to like have or talk about or see. It's like cool. They had like little emblems. They had like a shield. They had one of like the Third Reich like eagle like pendants and stuff. There was some cool stuff, and I was like, oh, I want to buy something. Everything was pretty expensive, and
It was probably pricey. You know, it's Nazi memorabilia.
I've never seen that before. I've been to a couple antique
haven't either.
stores. I thought
that's
was so
actually
cool.
hilarious,
Like,
though. Like, you make me want to go into an antique store and just go, very nice,
very nice.
gypsies.
It was so funny. Chelsea's like, shut the fuck up. Oh, so funny. I had another thing
awesome.
I was talking about. I don't even remember now. God, that's gonna bother me. Who runs Tim Hortons in Canada? We said the Beavers run Burger King. Who runs?
Who runs Tim Hortons?
Yeah.
Oh no, can't say that.
No. I'd be a Canadian animal. The moose.
Don't worry, I was gonna be a lot smaller than a moose.
Aren't the Pajeets are an animal, right? I was gonna say something else. I went so off topic with, man, that shit like impressed me. I was like, that is so cool, man. And I'm sure I posted it, especially on like Facebook. People were like, man, this kid is a Nazi. It's like, I don't like either side. I think we were lied to, but I don't think that they were the good guys. I think that they like everyone was killing their own people to justify Israel. So that's my opinion. He also the waves of warm air accompanied by the sulfur smell. He drew it. After 15 minutes, he knows that the doorway on this portal on the side of the craft opened, taking as many details of the scene as possible. Stephen anxiously waited to see if anything would emerge from the craft.
Mm-hmm.
So he waited. After waiting in vain for about a half an hour, Stephen decided to carefully approach the object. This guy's got balls of steel. I would have been like, all right, I've seen enough. I'm going to leave. It's like eventually when we get into what's his name? That other famous UFO case. I saw him once. It's gonna bug me. I can see his name. Anyways, I'll think of it in a sec. And so he didn't care. He's like, oh, maybe guessing it was some sort of craft from maybe
not so much balls of steel, but just pure like, well, okay, maybe balls. I was thinking like just pure idiocy. Where like you just don't know. You're like, wonder what that is.
I know.
Just
well, I
walk
guess,
towards
but
it. Like, do your instincts not kick in at all? Like, that is crazy. Never seen anything like that before. Let's not touch it.
Yeah, so weird. So it is weird. Travis Walton, who's who I'm thinking of. Travis Walton, like him and his friends were logging. I wanted to talk about this at some point. Very famous UFO case. I saw him in Brantford when they were doing a UFO conference, and then it's cool. He walked by. I was like, "Whoa, it's Travis Walton, man!" And he had where they were out, like I think they were like doing lumber work, and then he walked up to the craft, and then it took him, and then all the cops thought that his friends murdered him. And there's a movie about it that I want to watch eventually, and it's we'll get into him at some point, but same kind of thing where he just walked towards it like almost mesmerized by it, and then his friend took him, and his friends
and
are like,
maybe they got like a calling like the mermaids do, like it's just like
in the sky,
and it's like, come here, and it's like, okay.
Well, probably they think that they do that with your mind, that they're able to manipulate you. Because we'll be going deep down a rabbit hole at some point, more about UFOs and abductions. Me and Aaron did a whole deep dive, but we'll be getting even deeper into the butt of the probe. Where the probe's going, we're like halfway. We're gonna go real. We're gonna go right into the prostate. Eventually, it's gonna get that deep.
Have you had that yet? You're coming up there, aren't you? You're coming up. You only got a couple years.
They better be coming, man. After waiting,
you only have a couple years till you got to get that checked out.
Oh no, it's fine.
When is it? 35?
I don't know. I remember asking because my friend said he got it done when he was 18, and I was like, that doesn't sound right. I asked my doctor about it, and he said,
I feel like your friend just asked for it.
Yeah, I know. I was like,
he's like, Doc, while I'm here, quick question. I'm super worried. That's the only reason I'm asking. But just could you?
we had the same
Do the thing.
doctor, and he was a really tall guy, and he had very long fingers, like Billy kind of thing. And he said that he's like, it just felt so weird. These long, the doctor, he's not a doctor anymore. It's Dr. Villar's really long fingers, and then.
I think that doctor might have did some malpractice.
I know, because I'm like, and then I was like, when am I supposed to be getting that done or whatever? And they're like 40.
Yeah, I think it's 35, 40. Yeah.
So fucking weird. So yeah, he's waiting. He carefully approaches the object. He's like, what the hell is going on with this? I'm guessing the aircraft could be maybe an experiment by the US military. He slowly approached it, opened the door, heard a couple of human-like voices speaking in an indistinguishable language, which makes me think that this was a craft of maybe a Russian craft or some sort of, because I don't know. I do think that I feel like 60 to 70% of the crafts that people have seen are military experiments. I'm starting to believe that more and more, that they have more technology than obviously we've known about. The Nazis were building, the Nazi Bell and UFOs and all sorts of weird shit. We'll eventually talk about, because it is so crazy. So I feel like that's possible.
Well, you know what's weird? Do you take a breath ever? I'm like waiting for you to breathe to like catch you in the middle. We really haven't like gotten into it all, and honestly, I ignored pretty much for the most part was when COVID first hit, and that whole news article from the US came out that they're like, oh yeah, by the way, aliens we're pretty sure are real. We got proof, and then everyone just kind of ignored it. But like
the Pope saying there's UFOs now.
I never really looked into like what they were saying though. Did you ever?
Yeah,
I just kind of ignored that whole thing. I just went, oh yeah, okay.
Me and Aaron did like a kind of rant episode about it. You guys can check it out. It was something about is aliens real or fake or whatever. I can't remember what I titled it. But we talked about this guy. I think his name was Stephen Grush. So I think it's Grush. I know his last name is Grush, and he was a whistleblower that talked about essentially that they have craft. They know they have craft. They know that they don't know where it comes from, and then they also released those video footage from some of the fighter jets that caught the UFOs on camera on their like radar and stuff. So they're releasing it slowly because they want control of the narrative. So as the UFO disclosure is happening with people like Stephen Greer, who knows if he's controlled opposition or whatever. Stephen Greer is the head of the Disclosure Project. He's an interesting cat. I do like him. He used to be a doctor, like seems like all UFO and conspiracy guys. Like I'm reading a book right now called, and we'll be bringing it up when eventually we do the Protocol Elders of Zion. And it's called Illuminati, the cult that hijacked the world. It's written by a Jewish guy that is very much against the Zionist agenda. So far, it's pretty good. And he talks about how obviously they're manipulating. They got to be ahead of the curve, and they got to make sure that they are ahead and in control of what is going on, rather than letting other people dictate the information flow.
So here's the other angle to that is, if they said something's real and we don't believe them, it's actually not. It's actually the one thing that's not real. And now that they said it, now we're like, okay,
I know, and that's where it gets so confusing.
Are you on team government?
I know, because now that's what I'm saying. Because now there's people that think like Project Bluebeam is something that was leaked by like intelligence agencies. Eventually, we will talk about it on the show, because we did HARP and we've done chemtrails, and I want to lead up to that, of them faking the UFO invasion. I know your tooth is killing you, isn't it?
Buddy, I just got my fucking wisdom tooth out 2 days ago, and they're like, don't drink alcohol. And I'm like, get fucked.
Shouldn't have done that, man. That's a lie. Getting your wisdom teeth out is not a good thing.
No, it wasn't just for that. I got it out because it was fucking, like, I chipped it in half, and it was
good luck
like
sleeping. Good luck sleeping. It's connected to your pineal gland, which is connected to to actually your nervous system, which connects to your heart and your lungs.
Okay, well, I've sucked pine since.
I know they kept trying to tell me to get my wisdom teeth taken out, and I was like, isn't that not good? And they didn't even know how to answer me. And I was like telling them how it's like related to your nervous system and all this stuff. And I was like, isn't it a $3 billion industry? I didn't know what to say.
To take out your wisdom, you mean dentistry?
Yeah, the wisdom teeth, like getting your wisdom teeth pulled, essentially accumulates $3 billion for the dental industry a year. Yeah, pretty crazy. So they always want to make money.
Like a lot more than that.
Yeah, probably now
To be
at some
fair,
point.
I was begging them to fucking take it out.
Take it out. Shove that
He
shit in my
he
mouth.
wanted to do a root canal, and I'm like, I don't want to pay for it. Just fucking, I
that's
don't need it. Take it
Yeah,
out.
but that's the idea of now, because of Project Bluebeam, that people are going to believe that the government is, saying there's going to be a false alien invasion, and then if there's a real one, then people are going to be like, it's fake, and then nobody knows what's going on.
It's all confusing.
Yes. So he
You're
attempted
confused.
to,
I'm confused.
this is hilarious. So he attempted to address them in English first, giving them a warm greeting. What do you think he said? He's like talking like with his Polish accent. What are you doing here?
Oh, the guy. He came. Hey, come here, me boys,
Me boys.
buddy boys. I need help shifting the silver.
Well, voices inside the craft stop speaking because he's probably like, "Hey, how are you? Are you good, eh?" Or something like, who knows? And then they're like, "What the fuck was that? Is somebody
You want some
here?"
vodka?
Yeah, you want some vodka? And it's so funny because they're probably just landed there for who knows, maybe checking the craft if it is a military.
Oh,
or
he's
Russian
fucking
craft.
Polish. This dude's drunk by noon. Didn't even put that 2 and 2 together.
So they gave him no direct response, which is crazy that this guy has enough balls. I'm telling you, it's like, that's pretty crazy. They walked through the craft, first of all. And then he was like, "Hello, is anybody in there? Knock, knock. You guys good in there?" So strange. So funny.
Yeah, he's fucking hammered.
Oh, so then he cautiously addressed them in Russian, asking if they speak Russian. It's so funny because that's what I thought, is that like the first thought I would think is like, who is against the United States and Canada, especially at that time of the Cold War in the 60s. You would think it's a Russian craft. That's the first thought that most people, I think, would have. This
fair.
also met no response. Stephen then tried some basic greetings in German, French, Ukrainian, and Italian. This guy is
well
scholar.
versed.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
He's a drunk scholar.
Yeah. It's like he thinks he's speaking like, "Oh, you there?" It's like
He's-
just pretending,
He's not doing the languages. He's just doing the accents.
thinking that they're going to respond. During this time, he was able to get a glimpse of some of the interior of the craft through the doorway, and he noticed the walls were roughly 18 to 20 inches thick. That's a thick wall. That's pretty thick. Yeah, I work with metal, so that's a pretty thick wall. And you look at
It's almost 2 feet, man. That's wild.
I know. Crazy. It's a very crazy story, man. So
He was burned. He touched it.
We'll get into it. And featured
said it looked hot. Why'd you
honeycomb
touch
like, because why do you touch fire? It's just, you gotta learn from it. Like,
You
"Oh, that's
don't.
hot. I shouldn't touch
You
that."
should by that age. You should already know
Yeah, I know.
not to do that.
Featured a honeycomb-like construction. He also noted what appeared to be some type of control panel, which was a maze-like pattern of several different beams of light arranged in horizontal and diagonal configures. That's weird. It's very strange. After Stephen had attempted the greetings in various languages, the door of the craft abruptly slammed shut with no type of motion similar. Jesus. And the type of motion similar to like a camera shutter, which like so fast. Then he touched the craft with his gloved hand and noticed it didn't feature any type of joints or welding, because that's like all these things. If you're an intelligent person, you try to look for those things. And it's weird.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like this guy is pretty brave for doing this. I do think, or stupid, what's that Jackass song that they always play? Like, you gotta be, if you're gonna be tough, you gotta be dumb.
If you're gonna be dumb, you gotta be tough.
Oh yeah, if you're gonna be dumb, you gotta be tough. Because realistically, it's true.
Yeah.
So then, so it's so weird. He's feeling all around the craft. He's like, shiny, smooth. I like it. But he seemed to rather be perfectly smooth, polished, and highly reflective surface. Stephen had noticed that his glove had burned subsequently and melted, although he had barely brushed the craft with his hand, which makes me think that like it's maybe primitive technology in my idea of what UFOs in craft would be.
Well, it's anything that's flying through the sky at that speed.
Yeah.
When you have that reaction speed versus like wind at all, like it creates heat.
Yeah, that's true.
Go touch an airplane 2 seconds after it lands. Be pretty fucking hot.
It's true. If it doesn't explode first, they're making people scared to go in the sky now. All these
Dude,
planes
honestly though, like every airplane ride I've ever been on, there was one point in time where I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna die.
Yeah, everyone has that fear. You're flying
never
how
had,
fast
like,
in the sky?
Just like one good experience where I'm like, that was easy. I'm like, this is a little high up for me, and I'm
is
just in a
sketchy.
seat.
When I was when we went to Cuba when I was 19, I had my crazy shadow people experience afterwards. I swear I saw a UFO in the window. Like something just like a light flying, and somebody else noticed it, and then it just went away. And I was like, weird. Somebody said on the chat, CIA slipped him some acid because he was a spy. That's happened, so we know this, right? There's been experiences where people have taken acid. People think Barney and Betty Hill maybe were under some sort of psychedelic experience, and then they definitely were frightened by it. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. And then so he noticed that he got burned. It was only like a split second. The craft suddenly changed position, which Stephen directly in front of some type of exhaust vent that appeared grid-like in appearance suddenly blasted extremely hot air shot from the vent. Stephen's shirt and undershirt set it on fire, and he frantically removed his shirt, but he did not escape after his skin was burnt from the blast. Burned or burnt, Billy?
It depends on what sentence you're speaking.
It says burned.
I know, but it depends on if it was like it was burned or he was burnt.
Look at that shit.
He was burnt or he did burn.
Check that out. Look at you can see the burn marks on his stomach.
That just looks like, that doesn't look like burn marks. That looks
It
like
is.
fucking, it looks like a line of tic-tac-toe. Like, or sorry, not tic-tac-toe, connect the dots.
Yeah.
It looks like if I bet there's numbers there. I bet if you took a Sharpie, you could do a little picture. Yeah, this guy looks like a drunk.
Kind of. He looks what I think an old Polish man would look like, not gonna lie. So the craft then abruptly then ascended. It left. It flew away. Woo. And into the clouds, Stephen felt a rush of air as it accelerated. He later discovered burn marks on his chest, the exact same grid-like shape as the exhaust vent. That is pretty weird.
Those are very small exhaust holes.
Someone in the chat
car has a bigger one.
I had a trip like that at a Dead show in the 90s, and I fell into a bonfire. Well, maybe that's what this guy experienced, right? So crazy. So it's so weird. And it who knows, right? But that's pretty compelling to me. It is pretty weird. And why would you burn yourself like that? And it is like a grid pattern. He just fell into like a what's that called? Like a cooking grill or something. And then was like a bunch UFO.
Those more look like the size of cigarette burns. That looks like a bunch of cigar burns specifically.
I think his dad is haunting him from the grave, burning him on his stomach with cigars.
No, his kid finally had enough. He's like, I'm stronger than you now, motherfucker.
Time to fight. What a different time. We don't live in that time anymore.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, your dad beats you, and then eventually one day you just get strong enough.
You get to beat him.
So funny.
It's like in almost every movie that's from the 90s. It's like, I fought back.
Yeah, there's Freddy versus remember in Elm Street 6, Freddy's dead or whatever. His dad's Alice Cooper and beats him, and it's showing like when he's like a teenager, and then one day Freddy just grabs the belt and then starts whipping his dad and shit. It's like it's a weird movie. Once the incident had passed, Stephen returned to the spot where he had left his belongings and attempted to gather his senses. The air carried a heavy smell similar to burnt electrical wire, along with the smell like of sulfur. He looked down at his compass and noticed that the needle was spinning erratically. But after a few minutes had passed, it eventually became still again. Stephen started feeling very nauseous and also began suffering a severe headache. He headed back to the site where the craft had landed and noticed a completely smooth circular patch of land, no stones or twigs, but around the perimeter of the circle was a pile of accumulated debris such as dirt, leaves, and pine needles. He broke out in a cold sweat and became increasingly nauseous to the point where he vomited. Stephen decided to gather his things and head back to the motel, vomiting several times on the way back.
Stephen tried crystal meth.
Yeah. And then he did this drawing.
And then he's like, this is what I look like walking back to the hotel.
Yeah. That's so funny. This is a bizarre case, and it's cool that it happened in Canada.
I want those fucking coins. I'm looking
You
those
should
up.
look up how much that is. Look up Falcon Lake coins. How much?
Falcon
Very nice. Show me your treasures, Gypsy.
dollar coins. I
Man, I
spelled
can't get over
dollar
that.
like
Shit was
dough
funny
hair.
rewatching that movie. I'm like, classic, man. Very nice. Show me your
18.
treasures, Gypsy. She's like in the movie. She's like, I'm born and raised mid stuff.
Holy
How much? I knew they're
shit.
expensive. I know they're expensive.
Take a guess.
I don't know, $350.
Ready?
Yeah.
Because I know how to do this now.
Okay. Oh yeah. you
Ready?
Share. Yeah. Share the screen, sir.
See it?
Holy shit! $999.95. Why would
for
you make
a
it
$20 fucking value?
coin? Canadian coin.
It's not even a coin though. Like, look, like what is this?
But if you bought it, it's pure silver.
That makes sense. It comes with a case.
It's pure silver, but silver used to be way cheaper.
And we got Elizabeth on the back.
That bitch is rotten in hell.
Like those are fucking kind of pretty fucking cool.
It's cool, not for $1,000 though.
Yeah, that's wild. That is a wild price for that.
For a $20 coin. And it's crazy because you go to like antique stores and they'll have like even Chelsea was like, we're looking at like pennies that were a cent at one point, and now it's like $5 for a penny.
Well, it's coin collecting at that point too, right? I'm so
Does it
pissed.
come with a bottle of vodka?
I had this weird jar. It wasn't mine. It was my little brother's, but because it was my little brother, I consider it mine. He had this jar. It was like, I swear to God, like it stood maybe about 2.5 feet tall, and it had a good diameter on it. And it was this giant like mimic bottle, but it was hollow, and it was like for a piggy bank, for a massive piggy bank. He had that thing to the brim, filled with pennies. Like that was easily like $800 worth of pennies in there. Just between that, like there had to have been so many that were actually worth money.
Did he exchange it yet?
Oh yeah, no, that was all done like years and years ago. But like it was damn near $800 of pennies, which is a wild amount of pennies.
I want a Jewish piggy bank.
That's 80,000 pennies.
Oh, that's just the Federal Reserve.
Get fucked.
Steven sought to help from Constable of. I feel like I could be a stand-up comedian. I don't know how to write jokes, but I do them on spot. Someone told me that I was funnier than Sam Tripoli, and I don't mind Sam Tripoli. He's actually a pretty outspoken, interesting dude. But it's funny that I'm like, I don't know. I think you could do it too, and that's why I've always said that we should have done improv while you were here, because I feel like we could have pulled it off.
Improv would be fun. There's a fair to good chance I'm going to be moving back eventually. I'm probably not going to settle down my life down here, but
we should do an improv class. I think it'd be so fucking funny. It'd be great for the show too.
I love that.
Just film it. So Steven sought to help from a constable of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. You know how corrupt they are. They're like, you didn't see shit. Shut the fuck up. Here. Let me introduce you to my friend. His name is Robert Picton. Go to his farm and we'll make you disappear. So who happened to be driving by. So he waves him down, I guess. He's driving by on his horse. He's like Dudley Do-Right looking fuck.
Did they call it driving when it was a horse?
Well, he's probably in a car in the 60s. But ultimately unsuccessful. The officer refused to help. Of course he did. He's like, you're fucking crazy, man. He's like, I got burned by a UFO. Oh, my stomach. And he's like lifting up.
That was probably the best sound effect I've ever heard you do. Is that horse clamping? That could have been recorded. That was really fucking good.
You know, it's funny. I remember, so funny how off topic we get on this show. But you know, when what's that called? That Monty Python movie, The Holy Grail. They use the coconuts. You think that they're riding horses, and then he comes over that. It's such a good movie. Man. So pretty weird. The guy, of course, the RCMP refused to actually do his job and help somebody after suspecting that he had been intoxicated. Well, I don't like the RCMP, man. They are helping Trudeau cover up so much corruption. It's not.
It's people. It's not them as a whole. The RCMP are way better. You want to get mad at someone? Go get mad at the fucking OPP. Those are the
They're all
fucking
corrupt,
assholes.
man. They're
The
bootlickers.
RCMP at least are
Loot.
nice. Every time I see every time I get pulled over by an RCMP, like they're usually like, "Here's your warning, carry on."
Yeah. It's
OPP
because they have
are
better
like,
shit to do, make money
"You
from
got a
beating
parking ticket
protesters
from 3 years
in the
ago."
streets. Yeah, I know. Like, realistically, I think they're all in on it and they're hiding the corruption. And if they would actually do their job, they're like, well, what do we do about the treasonous politicians? It's like, you are the only people in this country that actually have the power to arrest politicians. And you choose not to do it because you're licking the boot of the government while taking a paycheck.
Actually, can I
paid
give a
for my
quick piece?
pool.
I'm going to give a quick piece of advice, and only people that actually listen to this podcast for 50 minutes here are able to reap the rewards of this. I found this out by accident, and I swear to God, I think I'm one of the only people that know it. If you move provinces within Canada and your traffic violations are in different provinces, those are not legally enforceable province to province. So when you go back, like I said, when I went back to Ontario, I kept my New Brunswick plates. I'm going to incriminate myself like crazy here, but I racked up roughly about a $3,000-$4,000 bill just driving on the 407, and it's vanished. It's gone because they can't bill it because they have no jurisdiction province to province. So you can get in trouble in one province, move to another, and you're just clear. I don't know if the States works that way, but like Canada does, and it's super cool. So if you get a parking ticket in a province that you don't live in, fog it. It's
So
never going
after
to come up again.
returning to the hotel, Stephen took a bus back to Winnipeg where he met his son.
Grabbing a beer.
Go grab a beer, you
Right
queer.
here.
I love how his trailer looks like a 1980s grandma.
See how quick that was?
Yes. I'm drinking a Stella. Have some Canadian. I haven't drink beer, but we had a bunch from the cottage, so I'm like, I'm gonna drink this up. Be good for the show. I don't drink beer often, and usually like some very strong Scotch on the show. It's like never a good idea. I gotta bring that back, strange brew. But he met it where he met his son. He took him to the hospital. Stephen was tested for radiation poisoning, but all tests came back within a normal range. So like that would be something that'd be like, well, that's weird. Over the next 7 days, he continued to battle nausea and headaches, which is weird, and lost a total of 22 pounds over the course of a week. That is weird. It is weird that he got black, because if you were to fall in a fire, something happened, you got burned somehow. By something just like innocuous, right? Something like that it wouldn't make sense for him to be like nauseous as much as he is. It is kind of strange, and feeling sick and all the stuff that he experienced. He eventually regained his weight and slowly came back to decent health, but they determined to investigate the site of the encounter to see if they could maybe find out more details of what he experienced. Stephen enlisted the help of the Canadian military, who assembled a team of investigators, accompanied him to the site on July 2nd, 1967. It's like, we are here. I can't do a Canadian accent, which is so weird because I'm Canadian.
You are doing one just when you talk. It's all good. Everyone else can hear it.
We are going to investigate this site, eh?
You sound like an old English dude from a fucking black and white movie.
How do they sound out east? Inbred?
Well, it's a little bit more. It's more just the phrasing, because like your voice and your accent are gonna carry through. Like everyone knows you're Canadian.
Team, eh, buddy?
No, they're not. They're not that up north. They're that bad. Holy shit! Up north, they sound exactly like South Park depicts Canadians,
hey, buddy.
Like, identically. Hey, buddy boy, what you doing there, bye? But yeah, no.
Letterkenny is like technically what people would consider a Canadian accent.
And it's Sudbury, so like yeah, it's pretty close.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like all the language out here is just like it's just the terminology that catches you off guard. So things like like how you doing there, bye? Is
how you doing there,
what's
bye?
up?
Yeah. It's so weird because it is kind of a mix of like all like the Irish and a little bit of like it's sprinkled in with whoever landed there, right? Maybe a little bit of French, and it kind of like made.
There's a lot of French.
Yeah, well, because Canada was founded by French, English, Irish, and Scottish.
Yeah.
That's what a Canadian is for everybody that doesn't know, and obviously
Mhm.
the Indigenous that were here. But that's here no there. But like it's so funny because then it became kind of this accent, and it's just funny how it happened, and it just morphed into its own thing, like Boston and like Jersey and all that shit. So they assembled a team, a Canadian team of the military. The investigators took several samples of the soil around the area at the laboratory analysis. The samples were found to contain high levels of radium, posing a possible severely serious health hazard to the area. So there was radiation. Investigators also found a round-shaped clearing roughly 15 feet in diameter on the surface of the rock where the craft had actually landed. Moss and dirt had formed a covering. The rock had been blasted, like just like to the perimeter of and clearing the area.
Blaster.
Yeah, it appeared to be a strong rush of air.
Hmm.
Well,
Or an RPG.
yeah, it's so weird. So, and he actually like talked to investigators. Here's a clip of one of the journalists that he got in contact with.
At that time, I said, okay, as any newsman would have done, draw it. I gave him a piece of paper. I think
Is that
that
okay?
drawing has become the most famous UFO piece of evidence
That's a Canadian accent.
in the world today. He sat down, he drew it in front of me. I hid it. I talked to him. I called doctors. I called police. And I sure as hell didn't want the Winnipeg Free Press getting the story.
I don't want them to have the story. I want the story.
Yeah, the story would be nice.
It's a cool story. Like we're almost at the end of this because there is more details, but I just want to cover the basics of the story because there's like little details and things. But while some of the team's findings seem to challenge Stephen's account, example, the surrounding trees and flora showed little to no signs of disturbances or heat damage, there had been an ongoing suspicion that that some of the evidence from the site had been, just got a big burp. And that's why I don't drink beer on this show, because if anyone is a true fan of this podcast and you remember what it was like, we've changed a lot. I was listening to older episodes and I was like, wow, my opinion is kind of different.
I stopped pre-gaming too. I used to be drunk before we got on. Now I
that was the whole
start
goal.
drinking. I know.
That's just crazy. That was the whole goal. We would drink half a 26er or almost a full Mickey of vodka before we started. Before we started, we would be like,
before we started,
we would just be taking shots, and then we'd be like, all right, we're loose enough. Let's press the record button. Which that's such a crazy thing to me. That what we used to do on the show.
I can't believe I even told people about it.
I know. I'm like, even the people that used
me
to
for no reason. You ready?
I know the people that listened at the beginning. I am very surprised. And then even when Anton became a part of the show for the little time that he did, he was like, "Oh, I liked you guys," because he was like listening. He's like, "These guys are actually drunk. Like these guys are actually like getting drunk and talking." And I'm like, "Yeah, we're pretty bad."
That's bad.
So, and they will be on Patreon. If you want to support the Patreon, you will get a lot of Lost Tapes episodes. I'm saying like probably 50 plus episodes that are now gone and taken off. Yeah. So, but you get to pay for it now to hear the real absurdities that the show used to be. So there was an ongoing suspicion that some of the evidence from the site had been obscured or tampered with in order to maybe silence and stop the suspicion of a paranormal phenomenon. I feel like I need to get that as a thing. I'll just get that guy or whatever. So Stephen's case had been
from? When did we start doing that?
That was way back. That was when we did the paranormal phenomenon episode. I think of like, and we were doing paranormal powers also on Patreon, and you just started doing it. Because I was like phenomenon, and you're like nomenon, and I was like phenomenon, and then we just kept doing it from there. Muppets, man,
stupid.
So weird, so stupid. We did a lot of stupid shit. It was fun. It was part of the fun of the show, right? That's why I'm like, I gotta stop being a little too serious. I want to wake people up to the agendas and the stuff that's going on in the world that I'm researching. But at the end of the day, I also want to give people a fun show. So
course.
So Stephen, they try to supposedly hide evidence, maybe. Stephen's case had been brought before the Canadian House of Commons in November of 1967, which is pretty wild. He's like, I was abducted. That's why I was wanting to do an accent like that. I was abducted by a UFO. My name is Jed. That's my whole thing. So he's
My name is Jed.
But that he's like, I got abducted by a UFO, and he did it in House of Commons. Is pretty wild. And this was at the time where Pierre Trudeau, I think, just got elected. I'm pretty sure it was like 1968.
He's not that old. He can't be that. Oh, actually, he could be.
Pierre
Yeah.
Trudeau.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look this up.
And probably right
because
around there.
everyone tried to call me out like that. They changed the Canadian flag from the ensign flag or ensign flag. It depends how you want to pronounce it. 1968 to 1979. And
Wow.
the flag was changed in the 60s. People were like, it wasn't him that changed the flag. And I was like, it was his cabinet. It was the Liberals. And he was in the Liberal Party at the time. And people think that because of his communist connections that he swayed to push it that way. So people would forget their identity of what it means to be Canadian. Because and then guess what happened? There was the Immigration Act in the 60s. Pretty funny how that works out. So obviously they brought it to the House of Commons November 1967, but the cabinet members that raised questions regarding the Falcon Lake incident have been basically stonewalled by the Department of National Defense. And there is a guy that we'll eventually talk about that I do have an episode written about Paul Hellyer. That's how you pronounce his name. He was the defense minister of Canada for, I think it's 20 years, something like that, a while. And he said that we're in contact with 5 different races of aliens. I got a Canadian minister, the defense minister for like a bunch of years. I have an episode written about his testimonies and stuff like that. It'll be an interesting.
That's what I kind of find hard to believe. Is just the we're in contact part. Because like, okay, let's face it. At the end of the day, if there are other alien races, like which it's kind of ignorant to believe you're the only one alive at all. There's got to be something. I can't fathom if they've gotten to the point of being able to contact us, because I know we're not smart enough to get out there and contact them.
Yeah.
They've gotten to that point. I just don't believe that anybody to that level of intelligence would even bother talking to us.
So
like
there's a lot of different agendas, right? So what?
Like at all. Like they'd be like, hey, if we need something from you, like there's no way they need something from us that they couldn't just take.
So the reptilian entities and the archons or the dark energies are, in my opinion, are manipulating this world, right, to gain our energy. They're not supposed to fuck with a species or a race of beings, an early civilization. That they're not supposed to intervene. I've heard this from numerous people, like so many people. They're not supposed to do that, but they have. So there's like people like the Galactic Federation. People think it's a wild theory. Others believe that it's completely true. There's people that channel these entities or maybe are clairvoyant and that claim that this is factual and that they know stuff that people couldn't know. So that's why people tend to believe these people. There's a woman I'm actually trying to get onto the show. What's her name? Elizabeth something. I was just listening to on another show, and she's a clairvoyant and claims to have contact with the Galactic Federation. Elizabeth April, and she's a very very good looking woman, very famous UFOologist, clairvoyant type lady, and she claims that she's in contact with the Galactic Federation, that she's here to kind of bring this message out. And that's she's a part of the star seeds and stuff like that. And that these beings are trying to help us, but try not to intervene because you're not supposed to. But there's already been dark entities that have already intervened. And that's why you have people that are like doing the most heinous shit that never get brought to justice. Because according to even stuff that within the Bible, Lucifer was the one that was supposed to rule over this world. He casted Lucifer down to earth. Lucifer ruled over this earth and is still ruling, especially nowadays. You can see it, in my opinion, that there is some sort of dark entity, some sort of Anunnaki being, right? That is some sort of ancient god that is ruling over this world, or gods. And they're just trying to manipulate us at every angle. And then these other people are like, you're not supposed to do that. What are you doing? And then they're trying to help us. And I believe that there's some truth to that.
It just seems so. It seems so petty. It seems like
So for everybody listening, Billy's computer did fail, and everybody watching, we tried to edit it out. Someone in the chat was like, "God damn, Billy," but Billy joined us on his phone. For some reason, his laptop was not charging. Something always seems to happen with the show. I don't know what it is. I never seem to win. We never seem to win. But we're bringing it to the end of the show anyway. But everyone was stonewalled by the National Department of Defense. Essentially, like they're like, we don't want to talk about it, especially in the 60s. Like, don't talk about UFOs, man. Right? We're already trying to scare people with the Cuban Missile Crisis. I can't remember what this summertime in the 60s that happened. And all the Russians, all that stuff. We're already trying to scare people into this and that. Like, we don't need the UFO experience to fuck them up. So in 1999, Stephen passed away at age 83. Falcon UFO incidents had been widely accepted as one of the most genuine accounts of a close encounter resulting in physical effects after. While the investigation into the details of Stephen's account raised skepticism due to the obviously paranormal claims, nothing has been discovered that it completely discredits the story. There you go. But let's hear it from his son. Let's see what his son thinks about his father.
sounds
he
good.
Is the kind of fellow that fear is not in his vocabulary. Not that he's a fearless man, but that when he sees something he doesn't understand, he doesn't fear it. He just chooses to understand it. For my dad to fabricate something as large as this would require more than I think he had, more than he has. He's a simple man. He grew up and lived a very straight, hard life.
This was no con man. This was a man who later went down to Mayo. They couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure it out. The doctor I had there couldn't figure it out. I am not about to be taken by anybody. This guy didn't take me. This guy was legit.
I'm not about to be conned by some con man. And the craziest thing is those burns kept reoccurring somehow.
Can you go back? I was just going to say, can you go back to those burns, please? Because those look way different than the last picture.
Okay, no, that's what I'm saying. Is the same? That is the burns that kept reoccurring. I didn't know this, but I was watching.
So they're reoccurring at like different spots.
Change. Play it again.
He is the kind of fellow.
Just skip to the burn spot.
Fear is not in his vocabulary. Not that he's a fearless man, but that when he sees something he doesn't understand,
I don't know if I know how
he
to
doesn't
do that.
fear it. He just chooses to understand it. For my dad to fabricate something as large as
Look
this
at that little
would require
mustache,
more
man.
than I think
This
he
guy's,
had.
I never understand
more
the
than he
pencil
has.
mustache.
He's a simple man. He grew
Doesn't
up
look-
and lived a
looks like he's
very
fucking
straight,
had a fight with a
hard
shaver.
life.
This was no con man.
Can
This
you
was a
pause it
man
when
who
the
later went down
things
to
come up?
Mayo. They couldn't figure it out. I couldn't
I don't
figure it
know.
out. The doctor I had there couldn't figure it out. I am not.
See,
Because the last time you showed me that,
I
it was
know.
all near his bottom, like right abdomen, and now it's in his top left.
so it's also a black and white photo,
Yeah.
so you can kind of see it's still there. But these
That's
burns would
Drastically
reappear.
different.
You think
Huh.
he's like burning himself with a cigar or something like that?
Like if you're nuts, maybe.
His son with his very weird mustache seems to think that his father. It's funny. He's saying his father's he's a simple man. He wouldn't make this up. He's a dum whatever his like. But it's I can't get over the son's mustache. I'm sorry. Like, what is with that? He looked like he had a fight with a razor. Where it's just he's like, oh fuck, I fucked up. It's so funny. Recently, me and Chelsea were talking about how when the one day, we were talking about this at the cottage, is like the one day I messed up and I cut my beard. I've been growing out my beard a lot. I'm sculpting it and trying to keep it like a big beard, and I messed up once. This is like years
Same.
ago, and so I told her, I was like, don't be alarmed, but I have no beard anymore. And she was like visibly shocked. And even when she was joking with her mom and her sister, she's like, I didn't like it. So, like, I'm not gonna
Well,
shave
you look
everything.
like you're 14 without a beard.
I would. I look like a child. I look like a kid, dude. It's so weird. It's the weirdest shit in the world. So obviously we had some hiccups in this episode. Things happen. Billy's not physically with me. I cannot touch him. We cannot play footsie under the table. So
I made it as good as I could.
I know it's all good. Things happen. Shit happens. And when I had Derek Rance on, from Dagalon, he also same thing happened. His computer just like it's so he's building a cabin in a place up north in Ontario, and his computer just got overheated and shut off. He's like so unprofessional, and he's like had to join his phone. And I was like, it actually looks clearer. It actually looks more HD. Same with yours. So here we go.
It's time for Fun Fact of the Day.
Did you know that there is a restaurant in Tokyo, or maybe it's not Tokyo, it's Japan though for sure. It's in Japan. It's called the restaurant's name is the Land of Forgotten Orders, and they only employ waiters with dementia. That's a real fucking thing. Yes, it is. Look it up. It's hilarious. So you don't know if you're gonna actually get
What?
what you ordered. Yeah,
It
it's
is
a real
such
thing.
a weird place, man. We'll talk about it.
It's
again.
Land of Forgotten Orders. Not funny.
Okay, let me look this up.
I think that's what it's called. I am. It was on my laptop, and I had the
there's a
tab pulled
book
up. But,
called The Land of Forgotten Girls. I wonder what happened there, Jeffrey Epstein.
oh, that sounds wildly different than what I was just talking about.
Land of Forgotten Orders?
Yeah.
Original. Restaurant of Mistaken Orders. Oh my god.
That's what it is. Restaurant the Restaurant of Mistaken Orders.
Japan's dementia cafes, forgotten orders are all part of the service. Tokyo, the 85-year-old server, was eager to kick off his shift, welcoming his customers in the restaurant with a hearty greeting. Or welcome. I don't know how to pronounce this. Or welcome, but it came time to take their orders, and things got a little complicated. He walked up to the table but forgot his clipboard of order forms, and he gingerly delivered a piece of cake to the wrong table. One customer waited 16 minutes for a cup of water after being seated, but one complained or made a fuss each time. Patrons embraced his mix-up and chuckled along with him. See, and this is what I'm saying. Japan is a weird thing. We're like, oh, diversity is our strength. I want more Japanese people here, okay? Like China is maybe not a good thing. The people are good people. The government is not good. But realistically, like we're bringing like all sorts of different people, but I don't see a ton of Japanese people here because they're such a fun culture. They do the weirdest shit ever, man. They have the weirdest folklore tales. They have the weirdest restaurants. They have the weirdest like amusement parks and shit. They have like, I think in Japan is the one where they have like, you go to a hotel and every what's that called? People serving you are all robots. They have like crazy shit in Japan, man.
Yeah, isn't that cool though? Just like I love the atmosphere. I love the idea of going like, and everyone else just kind of accepting it and going, you know what, like this is funny and like. Let them have it, and like it's wholesome almost.
Yeah. Someone in the chat says probably so they don't have to pay them.
It's a good chance.
So like you forgot about your paycheck. All good. We're not going to give it to you anyway. So obviously a little bit of hiccups in this episode, but we had a lot of fun. This is something a little fun. I have a lot of fun episodes written out for us and kind of ready to go that we can talk about, but there are specific things. I want to get into one more episode really deep into the conspiracy theories that I like, especially considering what I'm reading right now. And then we're going to take a little break, and then I'm going to hit you with a big one from history. So I have a lot of plans for the show. And for everybody listening, it's a lot of hard work on my side to put everything together and make sure the show runs properly and all that stuff. I only asked Billy to be here and to be a personality of the show because he's the best.
To show up tough. I got to show up. and he tells me a certain time, and then it's not that time, and
I know. I know. We do our best. Aaron's pretty good for kind of researching those stuff, but he's doing First Class Horror, which everyone obviously support that show. We just did our deep dive into Friday 13th, which is a ton of fun. And at some point, right, the plan is to bring Billy into the folds of Class Horror Cast, which would be fun for especially some commentaries, because there's some movies we want to show you that are fucked up just for the purpose of messing you up, to be like, what the fuck did I just watch type of shit, even with us.
I can't wait.
Because there's that movie called The Faces of Death. We watched the first one. There's also a second one, and some of the clips are real and some of them are fake, so you don't really know, and it would be a perfect one to have you on. So there is a lot of stuff in the works, and obviously, like, I thank everybody for listening. You know, back in the day, we used to tell people to go fuck themselves. It was like we were crazy. You know, like, thank you for listening. Go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? Like the craziest shit we used to do when we were drinking, having fun on the show. But I want everyone to know that we do very much thank the people that watch and listen to the show. And I'm only trying to bring some fun aspects to the show and some truth and some conspiracy and some questioning. And at the end of the day, we do really appreciate anybody that does listen.
Speaking of issues, did all of your TikTok accounts just get banned again?
All of them. And I don't know how
Bro,
to make
I
it.
saw that and I was like, why am I messaging so many people that don't have accounts? And I was like, oh, reptilian, strange brute. I was like, what the fuck?
So I've had 3 big accounts taken down. I have a new one, and I don't understand TikTok anymore. Something's happening because it was a good place to promote the show and stuff like that. And a lot of the things that they were doing to take down the accounts were kind of stupid. Like they were like the weirdest things of the things we just, like, even jokes or something we made. And it's become this like haven of censorship. And I've started a new one, and we got videos that have like a couple thousand views, 800 views, whatever, and like nobody follows it. I have a new one. So if anyone wants to look it up, a Strange Food Podcast, you'll find 2 that I'm trying to attempt to build up. But they have like 8 followers. I don't know what happened to TikTok, but essentially you can't like do anything. You can't say anything. It's a really hard place to promote any conspiracy stuff. I made a new account. I got to 1,000 within 2 weeks, and it was taken down. I was on there for 2 days and got an account warning. So they're very much cracking down on people like shut up about stuff, don't talk. And there's nothing even crazy idea. I was posting clips of me and Jeremy talking from Dag, like it's like stuff like that. The recent episode with Derek Rants, stuff like that. And it was like, and they're taking it down. So it's getting absurd. I'm still going to try to attempt that because TikTok is a good way to get the show out there, but it's fucking, and even X is tough. I don't understand. Like, I'm like, I don't have time to like cost me. I don't have the money. I work a full-time job while doing the show. So at the same time, I just want people to understand that, like, we've brought you the show for literally 7 years now at this point, 7, 8 years. It seems like forever now. We'll count 6, 7 years, considering the first year was a tough run. But it has taken a lot of time and energy to do this show and to keep it going. And I hope to keep it going forever. So it does mean a lot when you do join the Patreon, when you buy merch, when you give us 5-star ratings and reviews. It means more than you will ever understand. It does. I wish I could give you guys this hat. It's pretty cool.
Give me that hat.
It's pretty cool, man. You can get it done at Lids. I can send you the PNG and stuff, and you can.
Don't want to pay for it.
It's fine. But everybody, I just wanted to say that because it does take a lot to do this show. And, the best way to support us, 5-star rating reviews is free. Tell your friends. Podcasts are very much word of mouth. Tell your grandma. She might like it. Who knows, man? Maybe she's.
Dude, there's a couple grandmas that liked it. A couple grandmas DM me over this, and I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, there's some people there's definitely some grandmas that do like the show. But give us 5-star rating reviews, show this to your racist grandma. I'm sure she'll like it. Let's just have fun with it. But I never know how to end these. I mean, they're the same way. It's like I never know.
You just go like this. Take care, guys. Have a great night. Cheers.
There is a hope that me, Billy, and Aaron will start to do shows, all 3 of us together consistently. We've not done one together yet after all of this fucking year. It's been like 2, almost 3 years.
Yes, we have.
With Aaron? No.
Yes, I have.
When?
I've done 2 with Aaron.
No,
They
you
may have
haven't.
been deleted, but yes, I have.
I don't believe you.
You're
Name
fucking
one.
high. Did you
Name
ask
one.
Aaron? Did you ask Aaron?
Yeah, he's like, I don't think he's ever even met you.
Aaron's a fucking drunk. Okay, so that one night.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Two
Yeah.
live specials. You're right. Okay, you're right. Two live specials. One is on Patreon and the other one is on Patreon. So okay, it was two live. It wasn't an episode. Okay.
I did episodes. I count them.
Yeah. There was a Halloween special. The one time Billy joined on his phone, and like he is now, it looked like he was in jail. And then the second one also joined on his phone, and Aaron proceeded to drink a full bottle of Jack Daniels. So you are not wrong, but we will get there. This is the time difference, but we have a hope to be able to do this stuff. So
No, there was one night that I was at your house and we did an episode with Aaron.
it's never happened.
Yes, it did.
No,
but okay.
it didn't.
Okay,
Why can I not fight? I don't remember that. How was I wasted?
It happened.
Didn't happen. I think that's in your fantasies, man. You're just like waiting. I
Anyway,
think the
cheers,
fans
guys.
are,
Thanks so much for listening. Have a
yes,
great
I think
night.
all the fans are waiting. Have a good night. And hopefully that does pan out and Billy's computer works.